Live from the Deer and Deer Hunting headquarters here in Iola, Wisconsin. Welcome to Wednesday. Welcome to Deer Talk Now. Thanks for joining us once again today. I'm Dan Schmidt along with Brad Rux. This is like Groundhog's Day, Brad. We keep getting stuck in the same routines, but we're going to get through it, aren't we?
Yes, cold and snow. I heard just this morning, like tomorrow or the next day, it's supposed to be -30 again with the wind chills. So those deer are just struggling.
They are really struggling. And I actually posted a blog at ddh.com, deeranddeerhunting.com, just about the snow depths. I mean, now everybody doesn't have this, but it's getting to be a critical stage here, especially for March.
Yeah, what you don't realize, because the fields look pretty bare because the wind is blowing all clear, but we were down in the woods just the other day, and it's literally past my knees. So those deer, I mean, they're just stuck on the same trails. I think most of the bucks up here in Wisconsin have dropped because I haven't seen a horn probably in the last 3 weeks. And a lot of the deer that are coming to the food plot behind my house, we've been spotting them on the scopes, and all the bucks, you can see the holes, you know, where they drop. So looking forward to the snow dropping a little bit or melting and getting out there and looking for some horns.
What's really interesting about that is, you know, people think that, you know, it's really going to sap them out. It's the mature bucks are probably going to be okay, especially in areas that didn't receive EHD outbreaks, blue tongue, that type of thing that wore those deer down. But what I find fascinating about the antler growth is you see that big buck shed his antlers. Within about 4 days, he's scabbed over, and within about a couple weeks, he's grown again. I think that's really interesting.
It is just amazing. I know during turkey season, then they start. We noticed right away, like in late December already, they start bachelor groups back up. You know, and then those are those same bachelor groups that you see all summer long. Because we were sitting in there trying to do some doe management, and unfortunately, we sat where the bucks were coming out, and they kind of had their own little end of the field. And you know, my son's buck tag was already used, so we couldn't shoot any of them. And you know, it was like 13 bucks would come out in a row. And now when you see those bucks, they're still all together. There's 4 of them last night, all in a little pod together out in the field. So
we have a lot of great information for all you deer and deer hunting fans coming up here really soon. The June issue is going to hit newsstands here in about 3 weeks. It'll be hitting subscribers' mailboxes about the same time. We're talking about antlers growth in there. We're talking about the top 50. We're calling America's Top 50, the top 50 new products for 2014. Very, very cool. We have lots of information in there on food plot preparation and a lot of really good stuff. So check that out. We also have a subscription special going on at deeranddeerhunting.com, or even if you want to log into Facebook, it's really easy. You just click on that subscribe button, and you're going to see the deal there. It's less than $20. You're going to get a full year to deer and deer hunting. What better way? And you could get it print magazine, or you can actually get it digitally for your iPad or whatnot. Today's guest, Brad, another special guest. We've been getting good ones here, one after another. Tom Miranda, great guest last week. Another guest today. I think you might know this guy, Pat Reeve, of Pat and Nicole Driven TV fame. Pat's going to be joining us here in a few minutes. We're going to talk not only deer hunting and shed hunting, because Pat's one of the pioneer shed hunters that people might not know about. We're going to talk about his new book that we just published. It's just out today. It's called Trophy Whitetails with Pat and Nicole Reeve and the Driven team. Another awesome work. Just full color, just really, really cool. So we're going to talk to Pat about that.
You know, we've known Pat for years. I mean, almost since the year I started, and it's in the early 90s. And it's kind of funny, we watched his career kind of progress, you know, to where it is now. But one thing that's always stayed constant, he is just a whitetail fanatic.
Absolutely.
You know, it's kind of funny when you meet one of these guys, you just see this glaze in their eyes when you start talking about big whitetails, and he definitely has that. And he actually, what was cool about his shed antler hunting, I mean, he used to go up to Canada all the time, way before it was even, you know, cool, and they'd come back with truckloads of those things.
Absolute truckloads, and that was before they actually have limits now on what you can bring back. But I remember, it's funny you mentioned that. Yeah, the first time I met Pat, he was actually a turkey hunting guide and a taxidermist over there in Buffalo County. He lived in Minnesota, just right across the border there, Mississippi River. But they came back with, like you saw, truckloads full of antlers. Very cool. We want to talk to Pat about that. Just pick his brain about, maybe how things have progressed since then, not only up there, but shed hunting in general. So that's what's on tap for today. We want to remind everybody the specials at shopdeerhunting.com. You have to check them out. It's too much for me to mention here, but you're going to get a 10% discount just for mentioning that you saw this on Deer Talk Now. And the easy way to redeem that is when you go to Shop Deer Hunting, you pick out what you want, whether it's one of the Trophy Whitetails books with Pat and Nicole, or a Weston grinder if you want to make your own venison this fall. Lots of really cool stuff, lots of great products. You're going to get 10% off. You just type in Deer Talk in that coupon code when you check out. Or a lot of people like to call and place their orders. You just mention to the operator, you go to shopdeerhunting.com, pick out what you want, get the toll-free number there, call the number, order, tell them you saw it on Deer Talk, you can get 10% off. Let's get Pat on the line. Brad, I'm anxious to stop thinking about winter and start thinking about deer hunting again.
Sounds good.
Hello?
Hi, Pat.
Yes.
Hey, it's Dan Schmidt and Brad Rux, Deer Talk Now, Deer and Deer Hunting. How are you doing this morning?
Well, I'm doing good. How about you guys?
I'm doing great, doing great. We're just talking you up. We're kind of depressed with all the snow, and Brad's already talking about shed hunting, and we said, well, what better guy to talk shed hunting than Pat Reeve?
Well, you got to be a really good shed hunter right now to find sheds in the amount of snow we got.
Absolutely.
I was telling everybody, I remember the days when you used to go to Canada and you'd come back with a truckload of those things.
Oh, yeah. Those were the days. We're still doing it. I mean, Nicole and I have been going up to Canada the last couple of years, and we got plans right now in 2 weeks to head back up there and go shed hunting with Cody and Kelsey Robbins, which are, big mule deer people. And we spend more time looking for big mule deer sheds now than we do whitetails, and there seems like there's a better population of bigger mule deer out there than there is whitetails. Whitetails have kind of had some bad winters, so hopefully those big mule deer sheds are sticking through the snow.
That'd be pretty cool. What kind of, we're going to get to talking about some other things today, Pat, but what kind of regulations do they have on shed hunting now? I know they've made that a little bit tighter up there.
Yeah, each province is different, and Brad, I mean, you gotta check with, each different province and see what the laws are for, bringing them back. Generally speaking, a lot of provinces look at sheds as a non-wildlife park. They don't see it like they do a rack. And you can't pick up deer skulls and bring them across because, they're worried that somebody might have illegally taken that. But a shed is just naturally cast off from a deer anyway. So for a lot of times, there's not too many regulations against sheds versus, a regular rack. But you want to make sure you check. Believe me on that. I've been doing it for a long time. I've seen everything. So, it's just best to err on the side of caution. And, some places you can only bring a few pair across back home with you. Some you can bring them all. It just depends. So it's just still fun. We go up there. We just go shed hunting for the fun of it and camaraderie and get you out and exercising. And plus, and then we generally just leave the sheds we find with Cody and Kelsey anyways, because he follows those deer like, we follow whitetails down here, so it's a lot of fun. That's
awesome. Well, Pat, we told all the listeners already about the brand new book. It's literally being shipped as we speak to all the book outlets and across the country. But let's talk a little bit, Pat, about the book first, Trophy Whitetails with Pat and Nicole. Unless people have been living under a rock, Pat and Nicole are the rock stars in the outdoor hunting TV world. But let's talk a little bit about how the idea for the book came to mind, and maybe a few things that you were pleased that we got to include in this work.
Oh, it's been a project. I didn't know there would be so much work that went into putting together a book as there was in this one, and they really, the credit really goes back to you guys for first, investing in us and believing in us FNW just stepped up to the plate big time to really take on this project, and you guys contracted Duncan Dobie, which is, an iconic figure and always has been a person I really respected and looked up to in this industry, and he wrote the book. And, we just had so much fun, working on that project together. Just because we've, obviously been friends for a long time and worked in the past together. And the same with, all the F&W and deer hunting people. You guys have always been long-term friends, and it really wasn't a job. It was just, a fun thing to do. And, it's a lot of material to pull together, which is the cool part. But, digging back into the archives and going through a lot of, your old photographs and just different stuff from way back when it wasn't digitally, captured, and you have to have all these prints and just copies of everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Scanned, and it was quite an undertaking, in amongst our hectic regular schedule of hunting and filming and doing television. So, but it's always been something we want to do and take on. And once you get it done and you finally have that final product that's just sitting on the shelf or on your coffee table, and it's forever, etched right there. So we're pretty pumped about it. And from all the reports I'm getting right now across the country, just people are really enjoying it. It's a good read. It's full of a lot of support photography, way back from the day all the way to current, and everything supports itself. It's it's like a big jigsaw puzzle, putting it all together, all the pieces that fit the puzzle properly, and it's got a lot of great information. It's not just a picture book and about stories. It has a lot of great hunting tips and things that I've learned over the course of decades of just from different people that I've either hunted with or just things I've learned out in the woods myself.
That's one of the things that I like to point out, just because of our relationship going back so far. What people might not know is Pat, he made himself. He's driven, like the name of your show says, you're driven. You've been just fascinated by big deer, and not only is Pat a great hunter, he's a tremendous photographer. I remember the days when Pat would submit slides, if anybody even know, if the younger people even know what that is anymore, but he would submit slides to me, to Deer and Deer Hunting, to use. And the book here, like the TV show, the TV show's got some of the best cinematography that you'll ever see on hunting. The book is the same way. Now, what I really like about this book, and I've said it already, this is one of the best deer hunting books that we've done in quite a while. All these QR codes. Pat, tell us about that. How many? We have over 24 hunts in this book that you can just take your smartphone, click on that QR code, and actually watch the hunt that you're talking about in that chapter, correct?
Yeah, that's one of the things that we wanted to do, from the inception or from the first part of thought and talking about the book and laying everything out. They said, hey, what better way to really, let's tell the story and show the support photography that goes along with that story. And we have the capability, because we have our production in-house, to do a special edit to everything, to where after you get on reading the story, you can, like you said, take your smartphone, scan the QR code, and then watch in its entirety the hunt, actually visually. So here you got the print, you've read the story, and you've seen the photos. Now you can actually watch it unfold live on your phone, and it's just pretty cool. It's amazing how technology's really, went the way it has, and it's pretty cool. Like you said, it's an added bonus that a lot of books don't have, so we're pretty excited about that, and pretty much each chapter has at least one or a couple different QR code videos in each one, so it'll keep you, entertained a long time as you watch all these.
It's great. I love it. What's cool about it is that you're not only, it goes back, it so expands upon the days when you just had a book to learn something. Now you can basically speed up your learning curve as a deer hunter, whether you're a beginner, whether you're intermediate, or whether you're one of these guys who just you can't get over that hump. And there's a ton of great information in there. Like you said, it's a great book just to sit there and flip through and look at these pictures, but it's about reading it. But Pat, let's talk about your TV show a little bit, and how did that come to be, And where are you now, and where are you headed in 2014 and beyond?
Boy, that's like a loaded question.
I figured you could talk for another 20 minutes, and then we could just sit here and smile.
You guys got me under the spotlight this morning, man. This is awful early for this kind of question. But, I get that question a lot from my wife. What exactly are your intentions or plans for the future here? We gotta have some more concrete stuff. And I've got to Luke, Dan, you know me, and you, Brad, I mean, you know how my career has unfolded because you guys have been in the business just as long as I have, if not longer. So, but no, I mean, I've always taken the approach, and I've preached this to young kids across the country if I talk to them at schools or at deer shows or what. I mean, follow your dreams and just always do what you want to do in life. I mean, life's too short as it is. So I'm just fortunate to see that why in the road a long time ago when I was young and realized, I learned kind of from my dad. My dad worked very hard job. He was a laborer. He welded. Come home exhausted, dirty, work nights, and I said, I'm not doing that. And, he said, well, you're going to have to. That's just the way life is. And I thought to myself, if I could just do something I really enjoyed, and I seen that there's people that wrote magazine articles and did, game wardens did stuff on the outdoors. They liked their jobs, so I thought I'm going to be one of those people, and I just always kind of followed that philosophy and told myself that, I wasn't going to be like my dad and be a hard laborer. Not that there's anything wrong with that because we have to have those kind of people in this world for sure to make this thing all work. But I just wanted to do something better. And I didn't want to get to that career path down the road to where I quit what I was doing and then started following my dreams later on when I couldn't afford to do that, when I had a mortgage and kids and such. So, when I was young, I could afford to give up the toys like the snowmobiles and the better trucks because I chose to just follow my dreams and not have a lot of money in my pocket. And that's what I did. I mean, that's how I started. I started as a cameraman. I did freelance camera work and did anything I could to keep myself in the outdoors. I guided whitetail hunters for Tom Interbo, and I worked part-time a long time for the DNR here in Minnesota. Just kept myself involved in the outdoors. And eventually my career path just kind of paved its own way. And I didn't have any intentions of ever being in television. And I have no formal education, no background in that. And you'll see that in the book. I mean, it tells exactly how I got my start, how I made my way. And, there's been a lot of ups and downs, more downs than there's been ups. But, I mean, along the way, God's given me a lot. And I, truly have worked hard. But I don't know if I had to say, where I'm going. I don't really exactly 100% know. I don't know where it'll take me. But I do know that every time that I climb a mountain and stand on the top of it and look over this vast wilderness, if it's in Alaska or Yukon or in Australia or wherever all these wonderful trips have taken me, that it's been all worth it. I mean, if I died tomorrow, I'd be very happy because, I've got to experience that. And that's just with anything in life. It's all about the experiences and not so much about the money. And everybody gets too focused in on that nowadays. So, it's been a great ride, and I'm just going to continue doing what I love to do and trying to do it well. I mean, there's a defining line. If you're going to be in this TV business, you guys know this because you guys do TV, that you have to do it, at a level that competes with other TV shows, or you lose your financing, and that's ultimately, if you don't have sponsors to help pay the bills, it's all going to come out of your pocket, and pretty quick your pocket's going to be empty. So you still have to work hard.
Yeah, that's a great point, Pat. Even when you got into the TV business on your own, I mean, you struggled the first couple of years until it really took off, and that's with somebody that already had a great reputation in the industry. I don't know how all these new shows really start up. I mean, they gotta be just struggling.
Yeah. Well, Brad, it is a struggle. I tell that to a lot of people that come and ask me how do I get started in the business, because people don't know, and I respect that, because if I had to start up nowadays, I don't believe, even with my drive, no pun intended, that I would know or be able to even get started. It's because when I first started, there was not as much competition as there is today. Today there's 1,000 more TV shows than there was back in the mid '90s. So it's just really evolved, and the competition's even greater. And there's so many ways to slice the pie. So if you're going to start now, you're either going to finance your own deal and pay it all out of your pocket to get started, and then hopefully land sponsors. But if you think you're going to just call up a Matthews or an Icon or Sepwalk or whoever and say, hey, I see them on TV advertising all the time, so they must have a good marketing budget. That's the thought. And then I'll get them to sponsor my show. The door is really shut. I mean, it just isn't. They've already spent their money with people that have a good track record, and their marketing people are very smart and savvy on how to get the best exposure. So, you gotta take your lumps, and I've done that. I mean, that's the good part about what we do. We just worked hard and tried to produce a great product, and at the end of the day, just longevity has really kept us alive and kept us moving in the right direction. And we still strive. And we had a meeting last night until like 11:30 with a person that's running our social media, and just that's a whole new aspect to television that we haven't paid a ton of attention to, because I was born in the '60s, man. We didn't even have computers, let alone social media. So it's all evolving, and to keep up with technology, with its camera equipment and new formats or new things, it's a crazy world. But it's all part of the TV business and part of what we do. So I got to learn about it or stay home.
I always look forward to watching your show just because the videography in it is just stunning. Everybody in this day and age is killing big deer, big animals, even across the board on the TV shows. But you guys, the cinematography, like Dan mentioned earlier,
it's phenomenal. And one thing that I need to mention too, and this is just my history, maybe because we're getting so old, Brad, but Pat remembers this. It was 1997. Pat was working for Hunter Specialties. He was a rep, and Pat was still guiding and doing stuff over there in western Wisconsin. I remember, Pat, you filming your first turkey hunt where you filmed it yourself. And what people don't understand is you taught yourself not only how to do that, but I think, not to belabor the point, but you get to the point of people saying, yeah, I want to do that. I want to be Pat and Nicole. My girlfriend and I like to hunt, and we want to do that. It's like, well, this is what you got to do, is you not only got to learn how to do this well, it's more than just hunting. It's the whole business aspect behind it, and create. This just does not happen. It's a long process of maturity as a person and in a business world, putting this together. Pat, one thing I wanted to mention is you're only 50% of this equation. And we know that Nicole is one heck of a hunter in her own right. Let's talk about Nicole a little bit, because in a perfect world, we would have had two lines here, so you both could have been on. But tell us about Nicole. And most people think that, no offense, but she's a pretty girl who hunts, but we know that she is one heck of a good deer hunter.
And I appreciate that, guys. I mean, look, to tell you guys over the air that how great she is and stuff is one thing, and people are like, yeah. I think that, but I mean, I live with her. When I first started dating, I knew that this lady was very special, and she has the passion and drive that I have. I mean, that's first and foremost, because after you do it, as long as we've done it and at the level and put as much effort into it, it becomes not just a passion, it becomes a very integral job that you have to pay attention to. And it's not just the hunting portion like you guys just spoke of. I mean, there's a lot that goes into this, way, way beyond hunting a deer and shooting a deer. I mean, she is, my office, she is my backbone to the business. I mean, while I'm doing all the outside stuff and working on stuff, or I'm handling calling a sponsor, she's drawing up the contracts, and we handle everything. It's a very small, little business inside, but she's the backbone to it. But on the hunting side, I would say, Dan, and I know pretty much all these ladies, and have a lot of respect for a lot of great women out there that are doing this. Vicki Cincerillo, great, the hunter. Janice Maxfield, that nobody even sees on TV, that she's, kind of a backbone of Matthews, Joel Maxfield's wife. She's a heck of a hunter that never even hardly gets on TV. There's tons of ladies that are good, but Nicole is probably one of the best female hunters in the business today. And it's just because she has that drive. She started hunting when she was old enough to walk. Her dad took her to the woods in southern Illinois where they grew up. And she's just been around it. She's lived it. And she has the passion to sit there in the freezing cold and wait on a whitetail that might walk down that trail for not just days, but weeks and months, and sometimes even years on end to get that one opportunity, or climb the mountains, and follow me around with a camera, not to even know that you're going to have an opportunity to hunt, but just the passion to, do what we do. And it amazes me. And she has ice in her veins, and she's a kind of a living biofulcrate, I would call her.
She's got ice in her veins because she can shoot. I mean,
Yeah.
now, I'm not only going to say that. Buy this book, read the stories, and if you don't believe the stories, check out these hunts with your smartphone. Call up those QR codes. Nicole has made some of the most crucial shots. I mean, like, you talk about you're having a 160, 170, 180 inch deer in front of you. How many people can keep it under control? She does it, and she makes great shots. So you got to check that kind of stuff out.
It just continually amazes me, because it's not just everybody can get lucky one or two times, and make good shots and make themselves look really good. But she has to do it continually, time and time again, and she can handle herself under pressure. She also is a heck of a camera woman. I mean, I didn't even really have to train her. She's just naturally picked up on it and can lay it down when in crunch time, and sometimes she's even calling me down. I mean, that's amazing. But she gets it, and she has that passion to do it, and everybody thinks just because she's beautiful, they don't give her the credit, because they think, she just used, Pat's just got her on that show as eye candy or bait, and that's just all a big act. Well, they need to come to my house and pay my taxidermy bill, and they'll figure out real quickly that it ain't just eye candy.
Well, everybody always thinks that it's easy, Pat, and here's one of the questions. How many days do you think you spend on average in the field?
We spend every day that we're not in the office in the field. I mean, I don't know, like, if I had to put a number to it, Brad, I'd say 3/4 of the year is spent in the field. Like, right now, our hunting schedule in kind of our filming schedule right now for just this upcoming spring, as we leave next week after the Iowa Deer Classic, we go to the shed hunt with Cody and Kelsey up in Saskatchewan, which is it's just fun. Who goes in a freezing environment in cold, deep snow to look for deer antlers as a vacation? It's kind of a getaway vacation for us, but we do film it because it's neat looking, and it's what we love to do. And then as soon as we turn around from there, we come home, we go on a muskox hunt in the Arctic, which is even going to be colder, extremely cold up there. And we live out on the tundra in igloos, and, just something totally adventurous and not our normal routine, but yet going to be neat to watch because, it is so different. And hopefully my cinematography can, bring that back and capture those elements and be able to make people visualize it like they'd never before done. And then when we come home from the muskox hunt, we're going to go to Canada and do a black bear hunt, and then in amongst the spring stuff, we're going to try to turkey hunt with our kids here in Minnesota and Wisconsin, and then the final hunt for the spring is it's her very biggest dream is to hunt a brown bear with a bow. We're going up on the coast right by Kodiak, and we're gonna live the entire month, almost of May, in a tent, and we're gonna brown bear hunt and try to get her first brown bear with a bow, and it's gonna be really epic. So we're pretty excited about that. I mean, so we hunted last year for 2 weeks for a brown bear, and it was too deep of snow and too cold of temperatures in the spring, and I mean, we put the effort for it, but we just came up short, and we're not giving up. We're gonna go back there. We're just gonna adjust our dates just a little bit later in May to hopefully get when these bears come out, so we can get a crack at them. And she's hunted a dangerous game a lot in the past, and it's really fun to do. I mean, she hunted water buffalo in Australia, shot one at 5 yards, point blank. It was tremendous footage, really real hairy, cool situation on film. And then she shot a male, spot and stalked a male lion in Africa, and shot that with her bow, with her Matthews. And I mean, there's no woman that's got a track record like that. I mean, I know the girls, like I said, that do this stuff on TV. Show me a girl on TV that has a bigger track record that has produced what she can. I don't know if there's many out there. I mean, there's some that are really good too, but
well, it goes to show, Pat, you guys are driven. I mean, one thing that I tell people, and I hate to even bring this up, because there's a lot of haters out there on social media, and we see it every day, and it's not just with, it's anybody who's in the spotlight. And they say, well, yeah, if I was Pat and Nicole, I could do that too. And what I tell people is this, is when I have a chance to corner them, I say, just put your jealousy aside for 1 second and learn something, because that's how I never was jealous of anybody, but how I learned. People say, well, how do you kill so many deer? How many you must get all this opportunity. I said, no, I paid attention. And one of the people I paid attention to, and I wrote this in my book 12 years ago, the best person I've ever seen hang a tree stand was 2 people, Pat Reeve and Tom Inderbo. And I think Tom taught Pat, and Pat probably taught Tom some things. But what I said is, rather than going in there and say, yeah, this must be nice, these guys have all this land and they get to hunt all over the place, I said, no, I'm going to see how these guys do it. So I'm going to call out the haters that might be watching this and say, go live in a tent on Kodiak Island for a month and kill a grizzly bear with a bow, and then start talking some smack. Because
I mean, it's true. I mean, really, guys, this is the reality of it. I mean, I've worked for 25, 30 years to get where I am, and I've ate a lot of macaroni and cheese and ramen noodles, okay? And you guys know the history. I'm not asking for anybody. I don't want people to hate me, but I just respect me for what I love to do. And, I've had a lot of humps, but it's just like going on these hunts now. I mean, we do sometimes trade out advertisements for the most part, but we don't get like the carpet rolled out and the deer ain't tied to a tree by any means. I mean, that's a misconception in our business. If her brown bear hunt is something we have saved for and we have to pay out of our own pocket, it's money out of our own pocket to go do this. I'm not independently wealthy. I have no money that comes in from outside sources at all.
Well, you got a lot of kids, so I know you're not independently wealthy.
Yeah. I mean, it's just part of it's a balancing act like everybody else has their own little slush funds. I mean, it's something we've worked hard to just try to accumulate enough to go on these things and to do what we love to do, no matter if some people like to go down to Orlando and go to Disney World. We like to go and live in a tent for a month and be miserable, to try to kill this elusive bear that's a dream of hers. And it's not being spoiled at all. Believe me on that. I mean,
Absolutely.
If you go, people think, some people on TV have it differently, where they own big tracts of land, and they, most likely worked hard to get those tracts of land for sure. Nicole and I don't own any land because we just can't afford to buy it. We save our money to go on brown bear hunts and stuff like that. That's where we spend our money. But I mean, we have to hunt with outfitters. We live in Minnesota, so we could only, even if we owned a big tract, we could only shoot 1 deer anyways. So with 20 shows, it wouldn't stretch very far. So, we have to travel all over, and a lot of times we hunt with outfitters, we hunt with friends, we hunt on public land. We do areas and, roll the dice and see what happens. And I've knocked on a lot of doors and asked for permission, and I still do to this day. My son and I were just out asking permission to find a good turkey hunting spot here by our home this weekend. So, I'd invite any of those critics to come along with us and share in what we do and see the real deal, because I'm not asking for somebody to, just, feel sorry for me, because they shouldn't, but they should just respect, how hard it is to do what we do. And you guys know that because you're in this business.
Absolutely.
But it's a totally different deal looking from the outside than it is really what happens internally and knowing what really happens in this business.
Pat, let's talk a little bit about a bad year, because I'm always one of those believers in fate or karma or whatever you want to say. And a couple of years ago, I think I went on 7 trips, hunted almost every single day on those trips, and never had a shot at a mature deer. I mean, it just happens. And it was like every time I was there, I was leaving right when it was going to get good, but we already had another commitment, so we had to go on. And that happens to everybody, right? Or is it just me?
Oh, you guys know it happens to us all. When you zig, they zag, and a whitetail never reads a script or any animal that you're hunting in the wild. And that's how they live. They're elusive, and the bigger and older they get, the smarter they are. They got a few tricks up their sleeves. So yeah, it's every year we kind of go through slumps, and a lot of people, I think that's what really separates us again, is that driven theory that if you stay at it long enough, you're going to have a slump during the season, and you're going to go on a couple hunts that are just busts. We had that this year where we hunted in Illinois with a firearm, and we didn't even see a shooter. And last year, pretty much only, Nicole had another slump last year there. So, you kind of take those as they go. But what I do every year is I try to, block my schedule, which is really ultimately a super important thing. And I learn to, do some big game adventure stuff in the front end, because I might need more of that in the back end, because maybe my whitetail season was kind of a downer like it was. A lot of people had trouble this year in the whitetail world. And, because of EHD down in Illinois and Iowa and all that stuff, there was definitely issues with, the abundance of mature deer to shoot or opportunity. And then if you get a warm spell, or, if you travel to a state and something, kind of goes wrong, and the deer aren't moving or whatever, and you're just spinning your wheels, so you just got to cut your losses and move on. And, this year, late season, I think my son shot a deer with his first one with his Bowie's 10 in Minnesota. I killed a big one in Iowa. Nice. Nicole killed a big one with her bow in Wisconsin late season. If you just keep at it long enough, sooner or later, it all kind of turns around, and in the end, every year for us, it kind of washes itself, because we put that effort forth. And, but if you only got a few weeks to do it, sometimes, then you roll the dice, and you're going to have good ones and you're going to have bad ones. If you hit it right on, then it's perfect.
Absolutely. Well, Pat, we could sit here and talk to you all day, but I think they're going to kick us out of here before too long. So I want to thank you very much for taking time out of your very busy schedule for joining us. And I hope you guys have fantastic hunts, I'm going to say that plurally, this spring, and good luck on that brown bear adventure.
Well, I appreciate it. Nicole just wanted to say hi, so she can say hi.
All right.
Hey, how are you guys?
Hey, Nicole, Pat stole the whole spotlight.
Hey, that's all right. I'm used to that. I don't mind this early in the morning.
Now, if you do,
he's got me downstairs working, and he's on the phone having fun and everything else, and he's making me work hard.
Hey, if you get sick for that brown bear hunt, and you need a hunter, tell Pat I'd be more than willing to room with him for a month. Okay?
Oh my gosh, I am so excited. I don't know. You might take that back if you had to live with him in a tent for a month.
He probably wouldn't want to go with me. That's the opposite.
I think he'd have Brad outside of the tent sleeping on the ground or something like that.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, nice to talk to you guys.
Well, thanks, Nicole, and good luck this spring.
Okay, thanks so much.
All right.
You heard it, guys. Hey, I'm gonna take a picture of her legs at the end of the month, and I'll send it to you. And I guarantee you that a bear won't have as much hair as she does.
Wow. I hope she didn't hear that, because you're going to get hit with a frying pan or something here before too long.
That's okay.
All right, Pat. Have a great spring. Thank you very much.
Hey, guys, thanks. I appreciate it. And send everybody to the store to try to buy this book. I think they won't be disappointed.
We're going to do that right now.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Great couple, Brad. You know, we could, and the thing is we do have such a background with these guys that, you know, they are a refreshing couple, a family, just to watch and just see that whole progression.
Yeah, like I said, their shows, you know, when you watch it on TV, they got great hunts, but they're winning the show, the ones that are unsuccessful, as well as, you know, the triumphs, but the cinematography is just unbelievable.
Cinematography is great, and another thing that I will give Pat credit for. I've said this about two people. Mark Drury is one. Pat Reeve is another one. If you want to learn to become a really good bow hunter, a bow shot, watch these guys. Watch every one of their hunts. Very seldom do you see these guys take a bad shot. It's almost picture perfect. If we had a shot simulator overlaid on every one of those things, it's perfect. Yeah. And that's what it's about, because they are very, very good hunters. That's it for this week. We want to remind you the book's name is Trophy Whitetails with Pat and Nicole. It's on sale right now at shopdeerhunting.com. We got a screaming deal on there right now. I can't quote you the price, but it's extraordinarily good deal. Plus, you get that discount for mentioning Deer Talk Now. Check it out. Trophy Whitetails with Pat and Nicole. Until next week, I'm Dan Schmidt with Brad Rocks. Thanks for joining us for Deer Talk Now.